Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So when you've logged on to Pathpoint, this is the landing page in which you will start on. And as you can see, it kind of acts as a file cabinet all its own. Everything's broken down into drafts, submitted, declined, and quoted. So once everything's been drafted, these are the three statuses in which it'll fall. And we're just going to start from Jump Street. So you could see that you can start a new submission, review the quoted submissions, the same way you accessed it here. We're just going to click Start a New Submission today. And it takes you to a list of our verticals. And as you can see, everything's broken down pretty comprehensively. As you click each bullet, it'll tell you which carriers with whom we're writing in each respective vertical. And today, for the convenience of today's demonstration, we're going to go with contractors. And as you can see, we have 4 markets: Crum and Forster, Markel, Nautilus, and Westchester. And we have the excess that can be paired up with it. And I'll show you how that works in the middle of it. And we have standalone excess for our contractor classes as well. Let's begin by clicking Select Coverage. And as some of you may have heard, Pathpoint's value proposition is that you can quote these E&S submissions fast with no need for the application up front. Some people that do have the application up front can upload their accords here, and our API will scrape the information and populate some of the pedigree slots, things like name, effective date. But today, just to kind of show you one of the benefits of what we're doing and how we excel at the small business over some of our competitors, we're just going to click Start Manually and fill out our submission from scratch. We have a list of 101 class codes. As you can see, they're broken down by the trade itself, and even further broken down into alphabetical order. As you can see, everything is pretty comprehensive. You'll see on the ISO classes that you can click on them and it'll give you a description of what is included and what's not included in each class. Things like handy person, for example, it'll tell you, what's included if you don't see the activity on here. There are occasions in which we will suggest another class code for you. So for today's demonstration, we're just going to do drywall, and you can select multiple classes also. A lot of drywallers also tend to do paper hanging, so we'll use paper hanging as a good example also. Let's click next. If you hire subcontractors, and most drywallers don't, you would simply click yes, and they will ask you some follow-up questions. And you would select which one is most germane to the class code you selected on the prior screen. And there will be other questions regarding, hold harmless agreements, whether or not the GC or the insured who's asking the subcontractors for work will also need to ask for certs, these kinds of things that if they're answered, yes versus no, can cause the submission to fall into referral status or decline status. If you look at the banner across the top, you'll see that this acts as somewhat of a traffic light. Green means go, it's in appetite and eligible for instant quote. If it's yellow, it'll say it's got to be referred to a human underwriter. And if it's red, it'll say declined out of appetite. I recommend that everybody goes to the end of the line with this, regardless of whether it says referral or out of appetite, because agency managers like myself will see all the declines. And if there is something that we feel we can have a workaround for, we will talk to our underwriters about it. So we don't like to give up. We keep digging in. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to click no. Click next. Name insured. We'll just call this Mass Drywall for today. And the primary mailing address, the very cool part about the platform is most of the addresses in the lower 48 states will be listed here as you type in. We're just going to click on that one. Insured entity type. We'll call ourselves an LLC today. And you can select multiple states. You can, say you have ops in Jersey, Pennsylvania, what have you. You can enter anything you want. What year was the business founded? You can enter it as 2022 if you like. We will do new ventures. We will entertain them. Today, we'll just say it's 2016. Annual revenue for the next 12 months. These are just arbitrary numbers, guys. You can put in whatever you'd like. Active owners, we'll say I'm the only active owner, and we'll say I have one part-time employee. And drywallers do not require to be licensed. Employer payroll, say it's $10,000. You can see here why exclude the owner payroll. It's because our carriers will include them at the minimum respective to the state. If you've had any losses in the past 5 years, if you click yes to these questions, they will ask for an explanation, and generally it will be referred. Next. These are considered high hazard locations. If they are doing drywall, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be declined or referred. It's just something that may make it less appetizing to our to our carriers. We're just going to click none of the above. So no mobile equipment, streets and roads. They have 3 years in the field. In a situation like this, if you have a new venture 2022, they could still have 3 years of experience, not necessarily in business, but in the industry. We always recommend people read that particular question a little more carefully. These are considered the high hazard activities, not necessarily particularly associated with this particular class of business, but for our contractors workflow, we'll be asked on many, if not all of them. We're just going to select none of the above today. Does the applicant perform commercial work? Not a deal breaker if they do. Just select no. So he's doing 100% residential work. Does the applicant perform new residential construction work? This question more pertains to the actual building of the house, so we're just going to select no there. What's the maximum number of stories the applicant performs on exterior work? Since they're a drywaller doing interior work, we're going to put 0. If they are doing exterior work, this will be a conflict with the answers that we popped in here. And as you can see, there's no back button pressing necessary. You can just go up and down. This little margin takes you from A to B. It's a pretty swift little journey. Now, things like this, are more germane to something like the drywall class. Things like EFIS, if it's synthetic EFIS, it's going to be a no. If it's an organic EFIS, it's going to be yes. So, like I said, anytime these are selected, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. It just doesn't perform the quick quote function as easy. So we're just going to say we have no. I'm sorry. We'll say one unit at a time. Click next. We talked about the excess liability. We'll go up to 5 million above the primary. If you select yes, just simply these 3 questions that are asked. If any of these are yes, it will cause a kick out. We won't do anything over the 5 million. If it is a construction defect state, it will be a no. So I'm just going to click no here just to make this easier. We'll say again. You will have to break down the percentage of operations. And as I said, these are simply arbitrary numbers. 70-30. We'll click next. Obviously, the effective date can't be in the past. We'll call it tomorrow. These are just simply default settings. You can use the back arrow and the drop-down menu to select whichever limits the insured desires. The primary non-contributory, the waiver, and the completed ops. The actual blanket AI for the ongoing ops is going to be included at no additional cost. This additional insured for completed ops simply covers the gap that's left by it. The number of entities you can select, per additional insured if it's less than 10, obviously anywhere from 1 to 9. Blanket additional insured makes it easier. Obviously, there is going to be additional premium when completed ops is selected. For the purposes and ease of today's demo, we're just going to select that there's no additional insured completed ops coverage. Click next. At this screen, you can review all the information, make sure nothing's hinky. And as I said before, if you need to go back to a particular screen, you have multiple ways to do it. You can use the links on this left-hand margin, or you can simply click the edit button here and it'll take you back to where you need to go. Now that we think everything looks good, we're just going to click markets. And these are our 4 markets. As you can see, 3 of them are eligible for instant quote. Markel is one that will decline to quote. If these carriers are not desirable to you, you can simply just deselect as you go along. But it quotes so quickly that it's almost just easier to leave it in. Click submit. You notice on the right-hand side of your screen, pre-filled documents will include the accords. The information that we've plugged in to the portal will be populated here. So you can simply download it, open it up, and you'll see everything's been populated here. Okay, so the Nautilus quoted it at 809. Carmen Forster quoted it a little more. And we're just waiting on Westchester. No, we won't wait for Westchester. We'll select Nautilus. You'll see that the quote letter will be uploaded here. This is a bindable quote. Everything will be broken out for you, same as any other quote would. Your schedule of endorsements. The TRIA exclusion form is here. Let's go back to submission. This is our bindable option. As you can see, the subjectivities are spelled out for you right here. We're just going to click select option. Now, the coolest part that we've added most recently to our platform is everything can be e-signed. A couple things. The Pathpoint supplemental is a universal supplemental that is pre-filled out for you the same way that the Accord 125 and 126 are populated. You can see what it looks like by simply clicking here. The reason we did this is a lot of the answers that agents are being asked for during the quoting process are repeated within the supplementals. So this was just a quicker way that our process is completed. So you can download, print the documents and have your insured sign the old-fashioned way if necessary. If that's what they would prefer. Or you can e-sign. When you click the start button, you'll be forwarded to this screen. Now, the insured contact, it was Match Drywall. And what we're filling out here is the information that's going to populate the state subjectivity. So things like the due diligence affidavit will be populated from this screen. We'll say arbitrary address, my old home addresses as I'm using. Insured's risk location. Declination carrier 1, we're just going to put in carrier names. And we're going to, and as I said, these will be populating the due diligence affidavit that our carriers will require in order to get this thing processed as fast as possible. Call it underwriter. Make a phone number. Usually in these situations, it's just no market. This can become and as I'm typing this in, you guys can ask any question you'd like.
Fine.
It's important to note if there is no declination clause, but not applicable. Now, what'll happen is you will be prompted. What happens after you click the submit to sign button is it'll put together a packet with the paperwork that you see here. Click sign. We are going to accept that's what my signature looks like. You can send to the e-signatures or start signing in any of the green areas. So I'm the producer. Okay. After that's done, you'll click get the e-link. This link will be provided for your insured. You just copy it, paste it into an email, send it to your insured, and your insured will be able to respond with an e-signature of his own. You can upload the loss runs. If there are no loss runs, you can upload a no known loss letter. That will work just as well. The TRIA form was the form that I showed you within the quote that can be pulled. That is one that would need to be manually signed either by whatever e-signature platform you guys have in-house or manually by the insured. You'd confirm the effective date, send your request to bind. It'll be forwarded to your underwriter who will send back out to you a bind confirmation and the invoice with a link to Simply Easier Pay, which is an online payment platform. And that is, that's pretty much it, guys. Did you have any questions, comments? Happy to help.
Yeah. What about the payment?
Okay. I'll upload some dummy documents here so we can just kind of show you what it is we're doing. When you click the request to bind, okay, I forgot a subjectivity. Like I said, the payment can be done by ACH, check, or credit card. We will entertain any premium finance company you guys have in-house. It is generally due within 20 days of reception of the bind confirmation. Not generally, it is due within 20 days.
So the payment is done after binding or prior?
After. So in addition, when you select the request to bind, with the bind confirmation comes the invoice. So coverage will be bound. If that's your question, Dell. Or sorry, I'm sorry, who's speaking? Ricardo? Young?
Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you, Dell. Did you ask the question?
Yeah.
So it's bind then pay.
Bind and then pay. Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
And that's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. As I said, my email address is in the chat. If you have any questions, email me. I'm happy to, contact anybody. Are you guys all in the East Coast or are you spread out?
Yeah, I'm on the East Coast.
Okay, great. So I'd be your agency manager. I'd be your territory rep. If there's 4 of us, it's split into the South, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, I'm sorry, 5 of us, and the West Coast. And if any of you need the names of whom your marketing rep would be, I'm happy to provide those as well. All right. Any questions about classes, the verticals, anything else? Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I hope you guys have a great day. And hopefully, we'll be doing business together very soon. As you can see, it's pretty smooth, pretty slick. Most of the time that we took to get through this was me talking through it. But you can see how fast it is. And we really think we plugged a hole here as far as, small business E&S goes, making it profitable again for you guys.
All right, thanks, man.
All right,
All right,
Del,
thank you.
Mion, Ricardo, take care of yourself, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That's usually, okay, come on.